So hi everybody and welcome back. This is C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 70 and in this video we are learning a new keyword, which is the using keyword. And this using keyword has different meanings, but we will not talk about all meanings but some of them. So let's get started. The first meaning of this using can be that we change a type so that we can use an other name for it. What I mean with that is, let's say I have here int my telephone number, and this one is, let's say, anything, right? Oops, this one. So now, instead using this int type, I can write a random name for it and use it instead of this int with the word using. How I'm doing this? I can write, for example, using my created int, my created synonym int, and then I write which type it should be, for example, int. So what I did here is actually this int here, what I have here, I have created a name for it, a synonym name, which is equal to this int, but now I can use this one in my code. But actually this one, what I created, was a bad example because this int is much shorter than that what I created. In real programming, it's the other way around. What I mean with that is, normally you have a very long name and you won't try to short it, or you have bad programmers, for example, like I said, they created, for example, enum class A, and we have no idea what this variable type A is, right? For example, red, blue, black, white, yellow. So this variable type name is custom created, right? We learned this enum class, but nobody, anyone who sees A, I don't know, A super duper is red, has no clue what A is, and what super duper is also absolute nothing said. And here a little mistake. I should have, of course, used this class resolution operator, because it's asking here what A you want, what red you want in A, right? So, and you see this one is a very bad naming, and you will find something like that in many codes. To get rid of this, after you identified what this is, after you encrypt this one, you can say, okay, they have introduced this A, I want rename this anyhow, right? Then you can say using, for example, here colors instead of A, colors equal A, and this one now all this A's are colors. Now you can create something like so in your code, colors, and then my favorite color is red, for example, and then colors and A for red, for example, and you see it's working. And the reason for that one is, this one is just an other name for this type which was here before. You created your own identifier for this type, you can say, so your own name to make this type more clear. For example, in the first example here on top, that was a bad example. That this one would make no sense, right? This int is absolute clear, I think, because we learned it and it makes absolute sense. And to make here a longer name from a short name, I'm not sure. Perhaps you can still do something like that, but here it makes not really sense. Here I would rather use my int than this migrated to no int. But here on this example makes absolute sense, because this enum class A, nobody will know when they read this A type what A is. But then you say, okay, let's rename this A. Let's using colors. So you say, I change this A to my special identifier, which is colors. Then I know this A is colors now. And now if I create a variable, you say, cool, colors. I know this will be colors, anything with colors, my favorite color, and then I assign it. So you see, this makes more sense. And if you find, for example, bad coding in other examples, or sometimes you just get libraries and you have to deal with some things with that one, because not you are creating that, they give you a crap like this one where you have to really to encrypt first before you can go on what this type is. And then you say, okay, I want to make my life a little bit easier. When I read this in my code, I want to see instantly this one, because I have no time for encryption. I want just concentrate on my task. I want to go on. Then you can use this using keyword and change. You are not really changing the type. You are just assigning another word to this type. It is still the same type A here, but with another word, which you can remember a little bit better. It's better to use for you. So, and with that said, I stop this first using case in this tutorial, but we have to talk a little bit more about other cases where using is used, because this is only one. But this one is very helpful, I think. This one is very nice. Because one more tip here, later we will have really long names. For example, let me show you something. Later we can have something like this. We have here a name, for example, std string. Let me show. It's not a good example because it's not, it will make errors, but anyway, it shows string, and then, for example, another namespace here, other namespace, namespace 1, and then we can have here space 2, and then we can have here, let's say, I don't know, let's go rid of this string, then makes it more sense. Namespace 1, namespace, makes also not sense. Okay, namespace 1, namespace 2, namespace 3, this, and then let's say here string. Something like that. You can see something like that, which means we learned this class resolution operator, but we learned not this namespace, but it's not so important. It's just you can think about, it's just a list where you can put code in and have many elements. But important is, if you have now something long like this can happen, right? And you say, oh my God, typing this all time in would be crazy. I renamed this, and you can just say then this whole thing, also using your own, then you say I use my own identifier for all this long thing here. Then you say just using string in my namespace, or string my namespace, something like that, and then you say this one is now connected to your identifier, right? So you are creating again your own identifier for all this one, and later, instead of typing all this one, you can just type this short string namespace and go on. This one will be happen probably later too, when we are going to classes and functions, and when they are all connected, and so it all becomes longer and longer. And sometimes you say, okay, that's too long. Let's make it shorter. And then you can use this word using to find a shorter name for it. Or this one, if you find a very short name, which makes absolute no sense because it takes too much time to encrypt it. This is the other way around. You find a better name, which makes more sense. All right, I think now I stop here with using. Of course, you have to read this online a little bit more in detail, but careful, using had many other cases too, where how they are used. In the next video, we are still talking about this one. And if you have any questions like all time, write it in the comments. See you in the next. Bye.